So this is gonna be a weird video. I was gonna do a review of Phantasy Star Online 2, but it just morphed into whatever the rest of this video is. I do want to start off with some praise for PSO2 itself though. But first, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to get updates whenever I post new videos. I also have other videos already available, like my review of Trials of Mana. Now let's do this. As plainly as I can put it, PSO2 is a great game. It's so much fun and it has so much content, and they've already added more from when I initially wrote this video. I play on PC and two of my alliance mates play on Xbox, and we've only had one or two problems with the crossplay since the game launched. Some other little issues have already been fixed, and more content and bug fixes are on the way. I'm already max level on my Braver, and I'm working on maxing out my next class, the Hunter. Plus I got the full Alicia costume from Valkyria Chronicles, in all its color variants. Yes, these items come from loot boxes, which take the form of scratch tickets, but I actually didn't spend any real money to get these. If you don't get the items you want from scratch tickets, or if you don't want to buy scratch tickets at all, you can usually buy items peer-to-peer from the personal shop. Personal shop items all cost Meseta, the primary in-game currency, which is not a premium currency. So if you're lucky and or patient and persistent, you can usually get your stuff for free. That's how I got all the Alicia gear. Still, the presence of loot boxes is an unfortunate side effect of the game being free, and I personally don't know if I could say PSO2 has the perfect balance of free versus premium content. As I progressed through the game, I found a lot of built-in incentives permeating almost every part of the game, pushing people to buy premium items and or the $15 monthly premium subscription. From the best temporary stat buffing consumables, to the amount of things you're allowed to place in your personal quarters, a lot of PSO2 is designed to be restrictive to get players to buy into the game with real money. But it's worth noting that I made it to the current max level, level 75, without spending a cent. I did opt to spend some money on the game, but I only did so after hitting the level cap. Ultimately, I still think there's enough content that is completely free to make PSO2 worth a try, so I'd recommend it if you're interested. Worst case scenario, you don't like it and you're still not put out any real money. Now here comes the rant. The entire PC launch of PSO2 was marred by the poor functionality of the Microsoft Store. Not everyone had issues, but a significant number of players, including every one of the people in our alliance that plays on PC, faced a number of game-breaking problems. Numerous bugs and errors, threads upon threads of hotfixes. I myself couldn't even boot the game on day 2. I couldn't start the game up, so I had to uninstall it. But to uninstall it, I had to do a system recovery, and then I could reinstall the game and the updates. But this was only a temporary fix because 2 weeks later, I noticed that the original install of my game had not actually been uninstalled, it was just rendered inaccessible. Basically, I had the game installed twice and I lost about 100 gigs of data. This caused my day 2 problems to repeat 2 weeks later, but I didn't want to quote-unquote fix it the way I did on day 2 because I didn't want to lose another chunk of storage space. What I ended up having to do was uninstall the game, which again required doing a system recovery, then go into my system program files, give myself, who is already the system administrator, permission to access and modify 2 specific hidden folders that held 3 specific subfolders, as well as all of the relevant files held within those folders, delete the contents of those specific subfolders without deleting the folders or subfolders themselves, and then after restarting my computer one last time, I was able to re-download the game launcher from the Microsoft Store just so I could reinstall the full game and updates. And all that wasn't something that I could find online in any of the threads I mentioned. I had to figure it out basically on my own. And it's not a knock on the PSO2 community. I mean, it's not the community's job to make sure the game works properly. But they have shouldered the burden in Microsoft's stead. And to top it all off, I learned from one of those community threads that I had to go into my antivirus software and create an exemption so that my computer wouldn't recognize the game as malicious software and prevent it from executing. The reason behind that is because the Microsoft Store only installs the game launcher and therefore only recognizes the launcher as being PSO2. All the game data that is installed by the launcher is installed separately from the Microsoft Store, and therefore the computer doesn't recognize it as being PSO2 even though it's the actual game data that allows you to play the game. That'd be like if you put a physical cartridge into your Nintendo Switch, but the system didn't recognize anything that wasn't already on the cartridge as being part of the actual game itself. All the updates, all the relevant game files that have to install on the Switch are not being recognized by the Switch as being the game, so you can't run anything except what's already on the cartridge. That is stupid, and that's what the Microsoft Store is doing. All of that is just to be able to play the game. How come this happens with the Microsoft Store, but not with, say, Steam or Epic Games Store? Those platforms have games with separate launchers too, but I never run into this issue on those services. Hell, I never even had these problems with Uplay or Origin, those two digital distribution disasters. These issues seem to be contained to the PC version of the game, which is really weird. PSO2 has been out on PC in Japan for 8 years. If anything, I expected the Xbox One version to be riddled with flaws, because that's the newest version of the game. But from what I can tell, the Xbox One version runs fine, so I don't know what happened here. I mean, why does the Japanese version run fine, but the North American version have all these problems? What is the difference between these two? Oh. Again, not everybody has run into these issues, and if you haven't, that's awesome. Plus, eventually, these issues will be rectified and everyone can play the game with little to no concern. Now, whether that resolution is a fix to the horrendous Microsoft Store, or PSO2 releasing on an actual, respectable digital distribution service remains to be seen. And again, this isn't a knock on the game itself. I think the game is actually really great. It's more a knock on the delivery method of the game. It is unbelievable how poorly Microsoft has handled the entire PC platform, and it's a problem they've had for years. From Games for Windows Live to the current Microsoft Store, I think it's abundantly clear that Microsoft has no idea what it's doing. And they're Microsoft. They literally made the Windows OS, and they made the Xbox. Gross and inexcusable incompetence is not even close to being enough condemnation. Microsoft Store is trash. 2 out of 10. PSO2's great. Just download it on Xbox or wait for it to go to a real storefront like any of these. I'll even take G2A at this point. At least getting fucked over is up front over there. Subscribe, bye. Just in time for autumn. Microsoft's exclusive hit, now that's what I call being completely fucking worthless on the PC gaming platform. Including hits such as not being able to launch your game, not being able to play games with other PC players because they used their brains and bought the game on something that isn't the Microsoft Store, and just generally being pathetic all the goddamn time. Now that's what I call being completely fucking worthless on the PC gaming platform. Available now on the Microsoft Store. Ah shit.